Hey, tennis fans, you are listening to Watching Matchpoint Canada, Canada's premier tennis podcast. I'm Ben Lewis, joined alongside Mike McIntyre. If you are watching, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Look, day one has passed already at Wimbledon, Mike. This preview is late, but
it's my fault.
Hey, it happens when Canada's playing the biggest soccer game in our history.
But it wasn't even that, though. It wasn't even my excuse, to be honest with you. Right?
No,
okay. I was setting up for the podcast at home. Here I am now at 10XTO, who are hosting me again today, which is great. But yesterday I was set up at home. We were like, 10, 15 minutes away from recording. And then I get a text on my phone from a friend of mine. And he's like, hey, Mike, are you running a little late to have our hit tonight? And he's at the Mimico tennis courts, literally waiting for me. And I'm like, oh, shit, I totally forgot that I got my days mixed up. And so I texted him right away. And I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. I'll be there in like 10 minutes. And thankfully, you were good enough to push back. But we had trouble getting this done before the tournament start. But all in the name of tennis. So, if there's any positive to come out of it is I did get a hit last night on clay courts, actually, which is kind of weird. Okay. And actually, this is fun. I'm just indulge me for a minute here. But I hit on clay courts last night. Played my first singles match in 2 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. So for me, the big thing, putting away the doubles for a moment. I bought new hard court shoes today because I needed them. Yeah. And I'm playing my first grass court match this Thursday. So,
I love it. Also, I love that you are getting the experience of the immediate transition from clay to grass, which I think is the toughest transition of our tennis season. So
I'll let you know how it goes. I got the win on clay last night. We'll see how I do in grass.
Oh, I love it.
Grass on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Ben, we also want to give a shout out to some new friends of ours on the podcast too, right?
Yes. This episode brought to you by Everyside, our official Wimbledon preview. And Mike, look, you've had a chance to hit up Everyside downtown. I have not, so indulge me.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to change that right quick and have you over there because it's a fantastic venue. They've been hosting a whole bunch of World Cup soccer watch parties lately, which has been fantastic for them. It's a great venue. They've got great food, terrific selection of beers. They're not just a restaurant, but a brewery also. Their lager, their IPA, their amber ale. They got a whole bunch of rotating taps as well, which are delicious. I've got a 2-4 of lager waiting for you from Everyside. So if I don't see you soon, buddy, it's going to start to dwindle. It won't be a 2-4. It'll be like a 6-pack by the time I get to you. Yeah. But it is really terrific. And not only are they one of our latest sponsors and bigger sponsors for the summertime leading up to the National Bank Open, but they're going to help us host a party on July 31st, which is the Friday before the tournament starts, the night before the National Bank Open begins. It's in the Financial District. It's 120 Adelaide Street West. Did I get that right? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
And we're going to be inviting some people to join us at 8 p.m. from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. that night. Maybe it'll go later. Who knows? But if you are listening and you're interested, Ben, what can our listeners or our viewers do to kind of connect with us on this opportunity?
Yeah, look, we'll share it on Instagram, July 31st, 8 o'clock at Everyside. Just drop us a DM on Instagram to let us know you're interested in coming by for some food, some drinks, and talking tennis. That'll be right ahead of the National Bank Open, so we'll probably have the draw to dissect. I think we might want to do a bracket challenge as well, talk tennis with some friends, and just have a good night. So
I was thinking of having like some Wii tennis set up on the TV screen there too, or something.
That would be
I could
great.
never beat you in real tennis, but maybe this is my opportunity.
You would kill me in Wii tennis. I was terrible the one time I tried. So right. I think I was trying too hard, but lesson learned. But remember, write down the date, and we'll share it as well on our social media channels. July 31st, 8 o'clock at Everyside. We'll be hosting a party there. Look, Wimbledon is already upon us, day one in the books, but let's kind of turn this into a preview episode anyway, the women's side. And Mike, you had a chance, obviously, to tee up the fact that Serena Williams has obviously made her return. We saw her get the singles wild card along with the doubles wild card alongside Venus. And Aaron Routliffe, I think, was really informative with kind of getting a sense of Serena's level, being what my takeaway was: the serve, the return, never leave. She's ready to play. I will say that much. She didn't do this just kind of as a publicity stunt. She wants to play. She wants to win.
Yeah, and thank God she's playing singles. I would have been so underwhelmed or disappointed. I mean, would have understood if she didn't feel she was ready for it. But it would have been a disappointment if she was just coming back to play doubles. Nothing against doubles, but I do want to see her out there one-on-one. And I'm not putting too much like expectation on the GOAT. And I don't really care what happens, to be honest. Like, I'd love to see her win. I'd love to see it go a few rounds. That would be super fun. I mean, I kind of remember how I felt at the US Open 4 years ago when she got through the opener, but then she was facing Annette Kontaveit, the number 2 seed at the tournament, I think. And
yes, that's
we
right.
all thought, okay, well, this is a pretty big ask because she'd hardly played that summer and hardly played for the previous 12 months. And she got that win, which got our hopes up, I think. And then she was defeated by Ayla
Tomljanovic, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
A veteran player with certainly some talent too. So I'm excited to see how it goes, but just the fact she's playing singles, I think, is exciting. Erin Routliffe had some fantastic insight into what it was like to play Serena back-to-back matches. And it was just so funny to listen to her talk about what it was like seeing her name next to Serena's in 2 consecutive draws, like as if this is happening, But as we know Erin very well, she's a good friend of the podcast. If anyone's going to roll with it and kind of shrug it off and have a laugh, it's going to be her. And I think she won over some new fans as I was reading the comments on YouTube from that interview I had with Erin, who were saying, like, I'm a new fan. I'll be watching her because she was a gamer and she came on to talk about it immediately. She was ready to talk after the first match, which was a loss. And I think it was great that we waited a little bit, hoping that she'd even the score, and she did. But, what are you expecting from Serena here at Wimbledon, and what would be a success for you for her here at this fortnight?
Yeah, I think it's great that she kind of starts off with a player very, very young. So will her experience kind of shine through against a player like Maya Joint, who I think for Serena, this is a great return because this is the one surface and it's the one spot in the calendar where there's kind of the unfamiliarity for a lot of the tour. And there's always that sort of transition phase where players are trying to get their feet wet and feel comfortable on the grass. And when you're someone like Serena Williams, who's won Wimbledon countless times and been so comfortable on a surface like this over decades, I think it's going to be much easier for her to step back on the grass versus some younger players trying to set foot on it for, maybe not the first time in their careers, but they just don't have the same number of reps. So I think the serve is really important for Serena Williams. It's important for anybody on this surface, but that's her big edge. That's the big advantage where Serena could make a little noise and maybe win a couple matches. I just want her to have a positive showing against Maya Joint, sort of show that she belongs on the WTA still. I believe she does. I believe she was worthy of this wild card. But for me, the first 2 matches, I think for Serena, are fairly reasonably winnable. Even Alex Yala, who's a great young Filipino player, she's still a bit inexperienced and she's still finding her footing on the grass surface as well. So Serena would have a chance, without a doubt, I think, to win 1 to 2 matches. And people love to look ahead. The opportunity to play Iga Świątek, who won this title last year, would be an absolute blockbuster if we were to get a match. Like if we get a showdown like that in the 3rd round, that would be incredible.
Yeah, I think the first match is definitely winnable when you look at Maya Joint's grass court tune-up events. She went 1-3 in singles, so she wasn't exactly lighting it up. How does she handle the pressure of facing Serena Williams across the net?
Yeah.
For Serena, we know she's still got pop on the serve. We know she's still going to hit some monster forehands. I'll be interested to see how she can mitigate the unforced errors. How many mistakes will there be? How consistently can she get that serve in after so long away? And how can she manage also the nerves of playing in front of a packed house? I mean, you can bet she's going to be on center court. And is that going to be helpful at this stage, having that many people there cheering her on? Or is that going to put some added pressure for someone who hasn't played a competitive singles match in nearly 4 years?
Yeah, and I think the big challenge is if Maya Joint or an Alex Yala or one of these players turns the match very physical, kind of pushes the rally, pushes the envelope, has her working really side to side and testing her footwork and her movement. I think
you have to do that.
Absolutely. That's got to be the strategy for these players. I think if the rallies are staying in that 1 to 4 shot range, which they often do on grass, that's where it's going to favor someone like Serena Williams.
And, since Serena last played, or should say, since her last win at Wimbledon, which was 10 years ago, 2016 now, there's been 8 different winners on the women's side. It's been just a rotating list of, my goodness, so many different, Krejcikova and Halep and
Vondrasova.
Yeah, we're not going to touch that one today probably, but it's been 8 different winners. They missed one because of COVID. So there hasn't been anyone who's really, and I'm not trying to say that Serena's going to come back and win this, but I am saying there just hasn't been anyone who's been able to be as consistent as her on this surface on the women's side since she last won.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Which means it's always one of the more open slams on the calendar year. And even last year, I mean, none of us really thought Iga Swiatek was a contender to win Wimbledon going in, because the clay court season had been sort of shaky for her.
Yes.
It's the same scenario now. If we talk for Iga just for a second as defending champion, I mean, for her standards, this has been a really disappointing season. Let's be honest. 21-10 is not up to her standard of play whatsoever. She lost her only grass court match actually to Emma Navarro leading in, so she hasn't really found the form. And I feel like she's been playing with so much stress all season long. Obviously, she had the big coaching change, and now Francisco Roig in her box, former coach on the coaching team of Rafael Nadal, now working with her, but she has not really looked comfortable yet. We've seen it in flashes, in spurts during the clay court season. Is Iga quite vulnerable maybe in this first week at the All England Club?
I think absolutely she is, and I don't know how you feel about this, but could Taylor Townsend even get the upset early, because
she's
hitting American, I think dangerous to play this early, and she's someone who always believes in herself and has so much confidence. And isn't that what seems to be lacking from Iga Swiatek, is that confidence, that kind of killer spirit and instinct that we were so accustomed to seeing from her back, between 2020 and 2023, that hasn't really been there the last couple of years. I think this could be, I've got upset alert on this one as a possibility for sure.
And even Karolina Pliskova as well, right in the mix there. Former Wimbledon finalist.
The ace queen.
The ace queen is super dangerous on this surface. So this is a really tough draw, I think, at the first week for Iga Swiatek. We'll see how she sort of navigates it. And if she can pull herself through the first week, maybe she builds up some confidence and picks up from there. If I shift over to the top half, Aryna Sabalenka is our number 1 seed still. She's the world number 1 player.
Despite not an easy draw.
No, I don't think so. Despite her disappointing result at the French Open, she's still, I think, a contender to win Wimbledon. For whatever reason, it hasn't always worked out at the All England Club. We know she has titles at the US Open. We know she has titles at the Australian Open. She's been a Roland Garros finalist. This is that one slam she has not finaled in. Now, Emma Raducanu pulled out, by the way, so she is not in this tournament. But I wonder about some dangerous players in her section, particularly Karolina Muchova, who picked up a grass court title. You have players as well like Yelena Ostapenko, who on a given day can hit you off the court.
I was going to say even sooner, right? 3rd round Ostapenko, 4th round maybe Osaka, Muchova, Andreeva. These are all just before the semis even, right? So, and then we'll see in the bottom half of that draw, there's a lot of talented names too. You got veterans like Pegula, Bencic in there, Coco Gauff still rising, right? Still only, 23 years old. Iva Jovic. There's a lot of talent in the top half of this draw. It is not going to be simple for Sabalenka, but she got her first win over Kostovic, who apparently was eager to see if she could make Sabalenka sort of feel that game and that power, which didn't happen. It was a straight set win for Sabalenka. But she seemed loose in her post-match press conference and seemed in good spirits. So I think that bodes well.
I think it bodes well too. A name you mentioned who I'm really high on, honestly, going into this tournament, Jessica Pegula has been playing really well. She's been playing great on the grass courts. I feel like after a bit of a dip in 2025, her confidence, her demeanor, her belief is back. She's such a good ball striker, and she moves really well on this surface. I feel like she doesn't really lose a step going side to side when she plays on grass, and where she's always kind of just fallen short maybe over the past few seasons, or through the course of her career is running into these heavy hitters on the hard courts, where we've seen Sabalenka hit her off the court, or maybe some tough losses to players like Rybakina. But I think she can really hold her own on the grass courts. So I'm curious to see how she sort of navigates this first week. I think she's going to do really well backing that number 4 next to her name and give herself a shot to maybe get back into a Grand Slam final. I really think she can do it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I got good vibes for Jessie Pegula here in this tournament as well. I remember the last time I doubted her to slam was, I think, at some point last year when there was a bit of a dip, and she ended up doing, was it at the U.S. Open? Anyways, yeah. I usually get proven wrong. So I'm with you on this one. I'm in agreement on this one. I wish I could be feeling more confident for our Canadians, but already we've lost 2 big names in the women's draw, which is already missing Vicky Mboko, unfortunately, who injured herself in a warm-up tournament. Hopefully we'll see her back on the hard courts soon enough this summer. But Bianca Andreescu, so great to see her qualify for the main draw of this slam. Her first main draw played since, I believe, the 2024 U.S. Open, which is hard to believe it's been that long. But it just speaks to the challenges that she's had to face and endure throughout her whole career. Unfortunately, on the injury front, she qualifies, but then loses in 2 tight, what were they? Both tie breaks, I believe.
That's right.
Today, she's out already. Leila Annie Fernandez, who has really seemed to have hit a wall in recent weeks, also out meekly, if you will, in her opening round match. What do you have to say about both of them and where they both go from this? For me, it's a positive experience nonetheless for Bibi. And for Leila, I don't know what happens next, but I think it's time to kind of maybe revisit a few things that are, being tried that aren't working here.
Yeah, I'll start with the positives, because I'm going to be completely glass half full with Bianca Andreescu, because she has not, since this return this season, and look, she's certainly not had a full season. In fact, she's never had a full season in her career. We know that. But she finally really strung together some matches this week in qualifying. I really thought she kind of stepped up, and she beat a really good player in that final round of qualifying. I'm trying to remember who. I'm going to bring it up in a second. Sasnovich, Alexander Sasnovich, who's a tough veteran player, and she was down 5-2 in that second set and dug out that match 6-3, 7-6. And it was a beautiful scene post-match, her speaking to her team. She was emotional. She was saying, I believed in myself. I really believed in myself, and this is why I got that win. So for her to win...
Didn't she speak to our friend Abigail Johnson, I think, after that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. She did, and Abigail does a great job as well, I think, covering all the qualifying. I really thought that was a big step forward for Bianca Andreescu, and if she can build on that, I always say, fingers crossed, just stay healthy. Can she have a healthy hard court swing? We've seen her play great tennis through the hard court swing in North America. So that's really the next step. And, she'll have some time to rest and recuperate here. It's a positive event for Bianca, even losing first round here at Wimbledon. Leila, this is a negative showing and a negative event. And unfortunately, it's been just a kind of a rocky season. As you said, sort of hitting a wall. She has not strung together quality performances at tournaments. It's been really inconsistent. I feel like there's kind of, I don't know if it's within the coaching team, a stubbornness of only one way to play, hugging the baseline, redirecting. I know they're trying to get her to come to net more. They've been doing that over the past couple of years, but I sometimes feel like she needs a plan B, or she needs to adjust her tennis based on the opponent. She's kind of high risk, high reward sometimes, where I feel like if she were to play a little more solid, consistent from the back against players outside the top 50 versus being a little more high risk when you're playing top 20 players, you get better results. We've talked about this, and I'm honestly an advocate for a coaching change of saying goodbye to Jorge, the dad, who didn't have a tennis background, to be honest. We've seen negative stuff in press, kind of leaks about his behavior, how he's spoken to her during practices, during matches. And I think it's very to separate from the family, but that would be the change that I really think Leila would have to instill to get a serious high-level coach and maybe have Jorge kind of step aside a little bit.
And I thought they had tried that a couple of years ago. I thought there was one summer where it was talked about that he was kind of stepping back a little bit, but he was still on the sidelines.
He's
He was
always in
still
the
on the
mix a
court.
little bit, right? That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was never out of the picture and sort of just hands off, which I think is the challenge.
I just want to see her surrounded by positivity,
Yeah.
and let's see how that approach kind of works, a little bit less of the stern parent approach, and a new voice, just a new voice. I mean, how many players end up with the same coach for their whole careers? Very few, if any. So, and when we do see these longer lasting partnerships, it's often when the parent is involved. And I don't know, I think when you're 23, 24, it's maybe time to sort of branch off a little bit, right?
Yeah, no, and it's tough, but that's my belief at least.
And then we got Gabby Dabrowski, of course, on the women's side, who just won a grass court event with her partner, Luisa Stefani. So they are coming into Wimbledon, just firing on all cylinders. Gabby, who, of course, made the finals of Wimbledon with Aaron Routliffe back in 2024, which was shortly after her diagnosis and short time away from the game through the clay court swing of 2024 for breast cancer. Came back, made the finals of Wimbledon, and then had a terrific summer after that as well. So always rooting for Gabby, always a threat, and would not be surprised if she was the last Canadian standing, men or women. Hopefully there's, we'll talk about Felix in a bit, but it'd be nice to see Gabby have a, continued success here on the grass.
Agreed. Just touching on a couple more names I like in the women's side, but before we move on as well, Alina Svitolina's really had a great season. If there's one player, we just spoke about Pegula, but if there's another player, I suppose I would love to see win a Grand Slam or at least get to a final. I mean, Pegula had the experience of getting to a Grand Slam final. Svitolina has had this fabulous career, 20 titles. She's won the WTA finals, several WTA 1000s. Can we get Alina Svitolina in a Grand Slam final? I mean, her level has been so good the past couple of years since she returned and started a family with Gal Monfils. She's played fantastic tennis, and she's been really close. And even this year, semifinals Australia, quarters of the French, next stop finals of Wimbledon. She's been to the semis twice in this tournament. I really think she's on the short list of players who could win this thing.
Yeah, and I like her draw quite a bit. I mean, she's got Donna Vekic up there, who's a grass court. I don't call her grass court specialist, but and I don't know if Donna played today or not. But and she recently had a terrific run in a pre-Wimbledon tournament as well. But then you've got other names like Emma Navarro, Paula Badosa, who have not been nearly as consistent as we are accustomed to seeing from them. Paulini as well, same thing. Swiatek up there. So I think in that quadrant, having Alina Svitolina in the semifinals would not be a surprise at all as the 8th seed. The bottom half, of course, we've got Elena Rybakina, previous Wimbledon winner, who can do great things on this surface. Diana Schneider has also won a grass court tournament before as the 15th seed. She's someone to watch. And Amanda Anisimova, the 6th seed, how does she repeat after last year's appearance in the finals, where, of course, she went down love to Swiatek? How does she come back this year with those points to defend from making the finals?
You know what? I've loved her positivity and vibe kind of going from tournament to tournament. She doesn't seem flustered or rattled by anything, understanding that there are a lot of points to back up. She still has that number 6 next to her name. I thought she was mostly fine during the clay court season. Didn't exactly peak, but I think she could do quite well here. Maybe not a contender to win necessarily, but I like her draw quite a bit. Starts off against a qualifier, maybe Sophia Kenin in there. Could have a tough match, maybe with Madison Keys if those two were to meet, but I think she could go reasonably deep in this tournament. Elena Rybakina is definitely a contender to win this thing. Absolutely in the bottom half of the draw. And I think she has a really clean, really nice draw progressing to that quarterfinal. Maybe Diana Schneider could cause some problems, but I really think Elena Rybakina has a great path as well on the bottom half of this draw on the women's side.
Hey, doesn't this make you excited now that we've gone through the women's draw here, that these women are coming here to Toronto in just a matter of weeks? Like, we're one month away from having them here. And this will be the first time that the women have had the expanded 96-player draw in Toronto. So there's going to be tons of matches. It kicks off on Saturday, August 1st. It's a one-day qualifying tournament. the main draw begins on Sunday, August 2nd. And I'm just stoked to see which players we get a chance to interview up close and personal this time on the podcast. We've had so many in the past, from Coco Gauff to Alina Svitolina to, oh my goodness, obviously Leila Fernandez and Bianca Andreescu. But I'm always excited because you never know who we're going to get a chance to talk to. And there's so many great players on the WTA these days also.
I know you wanted to discuss favorite Wimbledon final of all time. Did you want to pick a final for the women's side as well?
Okay.
We did it for the French. I want to point out.
Yeah, you got it right. Okay. Yeah.
I called Mira Andreeva's premier Grand Slam title. So I don't know about pulling it off again, but I'll let you go first.
Okay. I'm going to go Sabalenka Svitolina in the finals. How's that?
I like that.
I like to pick one that's a little bit less obvious. I mean, I don't know, Sabalenka, Rybakina, a lot of people are going to be saying that 1 versus 2. It may make a great final.
For sure.
But I always have a soft spot for the veterans, and I guess Svitolina falls into that category now. So that would be my pick for the final. How about you?
Okay. I had Svitolina at my semifinal. I played it safe with Rybakina there. However,
Pegula?
Yes.
Yeah, I got that vibe from you.
I know. It's time. Pegula is going to be in the Grand Slam final of Wimbledon against Elena Rybakina. There's my pick. Pegula to win it. How about that?
Okay, I'm down for it. I'd love to see her or Svitolina get their first slam. So, and Wimbledon is always such a special place too for a player to win their first one. So many memorable Wimbledon finals over the years, and the tennis historian in me, I love talking about the 80s and 90s. Like, that is just my favorite thing to do. And so if I look back at women's finals, 1998 when Jana Novotná won, because she had been there so many times before and not been able to prevail, always seemingly disappointed by Steffi Graf, who won in Wimbledon so many times and was just incredible. And I was a big Steffi Graf fan, but to see Novotná finally do it in 1998 was well-deserved. She was just tears of joy. And, Novotná passed away at a much younger age than expected. But I was just, really nice to see that she had that moment in her career as well.
Yeah, that's a classic. I'm going to go back to 2005, 21 years ago, and Venus Williams and Lindsay Davenport played, I think, one of the best matches in Wimbledon history. It was at the time 2 hours, 45 minutes. It was the longest match in women's finals history. Venus prevailing 9-7 in the third. And it was just a shot maker's paradise, this one. Those two of them from the back of the court, some of the greatest baseliners I think we've ever seen. People remember in her heyday just how dangerous Venus Williams was, particularly on grass. 5 Wimbledon titles. She was amazing on this service. Davenport held her own so well in this match, though. I remember, I think I was visiting Montreal at the time, and I think I was staying with my grandma at the time and just had the TV on and was watching this mesmerizing final and couldn't put it down. And it had that kind of excitement of the fact that you have to win by 2. So they stretched beyond 6-all, 7-all before Venus finally broke through. She also saved championship point to win that. So that was an absolute classic for me. Amazing. 21 years later, she is still in this field playing doubles. It's there. It's mind-boggling, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though the wins are few and far between, she makes them work for it. She certainly makes them work for it. I do want to just say I asked some of our listeners what their favorite finals were, and I got 2 entries I'll share. Adam Bradley has the same one as you. So on the women's side, it was Venus versus Davenport, 2005.
Nice. Yep.
And another listener, Lucasino, said, oddly enough, Swiatek Anisimova from 2026.
Okay.
He says historic achievement and score for Iga, which I guess if you're a Swiatek fan or a
Polish tennis fan,
then
sure.
Then that would be one that you would have certainly enjoyed a lot.
That's funny. Hey, she did play amazing, without a doubt. Let's shift over to the men's draw and the men's side. And as we kind of get into it, we'll talk about the world number 1, Jannik Sinner. And we should start and
barely made it through today.
Jannik really dodged a bullet on day 1 of this tournament. He was in big trouble against Miomir Kekmanovic. Took a really ugly, scary fall on the grass, I will say, the way he slipped and kind of twisted his knee and looked like he was trying to change direction, got tangled up. He was bleeding from out of his foot, like his shoe had turned red. It was pretty gross, to be honest.
Gross. Yeah, it was.
Pretty disgusting. But
I mean, he had a sense of humor about it afterwards, making a comparison to the strawberries at Wimbledon. That his white shoe was tainted red.
Yeah, that's right. I enjoyed that.
But the fall didn't look good. It really looked like he could have been seriously hurt. And what he went through with the French Open, being upset so early, by cramping and his body failing him, it would have been awful to see an injury take him out early here.
I think the alarm bells were raised for everyone, especially in his camp. And we've seen ugly injuries on the grass before, but thankfully he was okay. Kekmanovic put up a great performance. Wasn't enough. Sinner escaping in 5 sets, winning the final 4th and 5th sets 6-2, 6-3. So he kind of got it together and was really solid from the back of the court to prevail. I sort of wonder,
could we have another Sinner Alcaraz less final? I mean, after 2 years of it being those two guys each every tournament, the French Open showed us what it looks like when they're not there. And my goodness, we came awfully close today to already having a tournament with over 100 players left, or close to 100 players left, without either as well.
Well, I think that's the question. Does Sinner kind of get stronger from the fact that he escaped the jaws of defeat in that first round and sort of it propels him to kind of cruise through this tournament? Or is he sort of kind of on thin ice after that slip and fall and feeling a little more anxious about his chances is sort of the question. I'm not sure. I will say the first week doesn't look particularly difficult, kind of those first few matches. I don't see any major challenger for him. I don't know, unless you do.
No, I don't either. In fact, when I look at my draw here as I've printed it out, in the 4th round, I had Sinner, and I don't know why I did this, but I wrote Chapeau with a question mark. Well, we know that's not happening.
It's bad.
And then I've got Hurkacz in there because of his grass court pedigree, but
great pick.
But he hasn't played a ton, and hasn't had as recent huge grass court results. He got rid of 11th seed Casper Ruud, but I think we all saw that coming because Casper doesn't play any Wimbledon warm-up tournaments.
Exactly.
Admits that the grass is a wash for him. And then I've got a question mark there. I mean, Medvedev got by Cilic rather easily, so I suppose that's who we're predicting to be there. But, him and grass, I don't know. What's Medvedev been like on grass? I can't recall right now. Had any...
I think he's made semifinals before. I think he is capable. It's just more, what do we get from Medvedev on any given day? I feel like we had this conversation going into Roland Garros, sort of being like, well, could Medvedev make a run? And he crashed out in the first round. So at least he sort of comfortably advanced in the first round against a tough opponent in Cilic. Would tell you he's feeling all right to start. So there's no reason he couldn't make the second week. But you're right. Like, I just don't think there's anyone to properly trouble Jannik. I didn't have Miomir.
Not until the semis, anyways, right? Not until the semis, yeah.
No, exactly. Should we talk about our Canadian, probably our highest hope without a doubt, and certainly the highest seed, Felix Auger-Aliassime, number 3 overall. I think he was crushed by Roland Garros, even though he made his first career quarterfinal there. It was, as you and I know, such an opportunity to go further. It felt like an opportunity to make a Grand Slam final, frankly, and just couldn't get over the line against Flavio Cobolli and couldn't convert his chances. And I think about him saying how he was kind of quite destroyed by that defeat, but it feels like he's bounced back pretty quickly and looks comfortable and confident, and already kicked things off with an easy and routine first round win over Shevchenko. I'm getting positive vibes from Felix so far.
Loving the look, by the way, and maybe I'm biased, but I'm loving the new haircut that he's sporting, which is not the first time. He had that at the NBO a few years ago as well.
Yep.
But nice to see him get through so routinely, because how often do we see him sort of struggle? Even at the French Open, there were some of those matches that went longer than we kind of expected or would have liked to have seen him have to endure. Look, he made the quarterfinals here. That was 5 years ago. Since then, it's been very disappointing. It's been all first round and second round losses for Felix at Wimbledon. Here he is, the 3rd seed out of 128 men competing in the championships. He's number 3, which I think is just a huge accomplishment. Let's give him props for what he's done here. But now it's time to go out there and live up to that number. And I could see him going through. He's got a good opportunity, I think, to get to the semifinals. You've got Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who, by the way, so nice to see him win his first ever tournament after
finally,
right, the previous moments where he'd been so close and I don't want to say squandered, but I guess that's the right word, squandered match points.
Mm-hmm.
Very happy to see him get over that hump. He's working, his physiotherapist used to work with Milos Raonic also, so nice to see a little Canadian connection in there somehow. Rublev is out. Djokovic, who knows in best of 5 what we can expect from him now. Although at Wimbledon,
tough first round win, by the way.
Yeah, dropping
a
set there.
Yeah,
Tsitsipas up next, but Tsitsipas, who's once again, I mean, how many times have him and his father stopped working together? But Djokovic, what can we expect from him? It really depends on how long the matches go, on the conditions, I think, as well. So I think for Felix, this is a nice section to work through, just like Sinner has a nice section to work through in the top. A little bit tougher for Felix, but I could see him doing it, and I'd like to see him do it. And damn it, I think as the 3rd seed, he should be doing it.
I should note, by the way, Cameron Norrie of Britain is already out. He lost in 5 sets to American Michael Zhang. So that section looks more and more open. I mean, he's already through to that second round. You have Prismic, who's a good young player from Croatia, but I don't know how experienced you would be to do anything on grass. And you have a couple qualifiers in there. You already mentioned Davidovich Fokina, Lerner Tien, who's I still think there's got to be a learning curve with this surface. Brutal draw, by the way, for Andrei Rublev. Safin is a former quarterfinalist at Wimbledon. He's a dangerous player here.
Yeah, you knew that was going to be 5 sets, right?
That's the last guy you want to draw here, to be honest. One match I'm looking for, and we'll talk about Novak, but we could get a rematch. Fonseca already took out Bautista Agut in straights. We could see a Zhao Novak rematch in the 4th round here, which I really want to see that match. I thought their 3rd round clash at Roland Garros was an absolute epic. Let's see it on a different surface. It could be like our little replacement rivalry while Carlos Alcaraz is on the shelf to see Novak play another young superstar.
Agreed. Sign me up for that. Wouldn't give the edge a little bit maybe to Djokovic, more so on the grass than on the clay.
Yeah.
Also want to say would be great to see Felix make the finals, because it's been 10 years since we had a Canadian man make the finals of Wimbledon when Milos Raonic last did it. And for anyone wondering about Milos, he is now living in the New York City area. He is working for, I can't say the company, but he's working in the financial industry now. And you'll never guess who he occasionally has a hit with. He tells me that he laments the fact it's hard to find good hitting partners for him in and around New York, but he does occasionally hit with Mario Ancic.
Really?
Yes. Who lives in New Jersey, apparently.
That's a pretty good hitting partner.
And also had some success at Wimbledon back in the day.
Yeah. Wow. Good shout. Okay.
There you go. There's a little odd tidbit that you're probably not getting on any other tennis podcast out there.
That's great. I love it. Let's look at the bottom half of the draw. Number 5, Alex de Minaur, who is always one of the toughest outs in tennis. I think in the first week of any Grand Slam, he seems to always kind of slot himself in quarterfinals of majors and then struggles to get over that hump. He's the 5th seed. Karen Khachanov, I think, is dangerous as the number 19. You got Jakub Mensik, who impressed for sure at Roland Garros. Arthur Fils is healthy again. Ugo Humbert is a really good grass court player. And then if we kind of scroll down towards the bottom, the names that are really standing out to me actually are the Americans. Taylor Fritz has had a really good grass court campaign, made a couple finals. Ben Shelton had a grass title. He's number 4. And Francis Tiafoe had a grass court title and looks back on the up and up on this surface. So could it be time for an American to make a run on this surface? Before we'll talk about before we're getting to your favorite number 2, we could talk about the Americans a little bit.
Yeah. By the way, this bottom half of the draw is fun. It looks like fun, right? Like you've got Sinner and Djokovic, the former champions. I mean, Djokovic obviously many times and Sinner as of last year, but the bottom half is wide open to me. And a lot of great names. You mentioned a whole ton of them already. I'm excited to see Mensik and see how he follows up his French Open. I'm excited to see Arthur Fils, Shelton on the grass. You've got fun names in there like Bublik. You've got
How about this, by the way, Wawrinka, his final Wimbledon match against Matteo Berrettini, former Wimbledon finalist.
oh
That's pretty
yeah,
epic.
amazing.
Yeah.
You've got Poppy in there who played well in Toronto
Yeah.
not too long ago, and maybe on a fast surface he could get on a little bit of a run. Khachanov, who played so well last summer in Toronto, and some people. I remember who was it? Our friend Arash Madani from the Canadian media, who was like, "Gosh, if Khachanov plays like that all the time, he's top 5." But we never see that consistency. But you've just got so many names in there. Like, good luck picking the last two standing in that half of the draw, I think, and maybe it could be some Americans. Fritz got lucky with Jack Draper, I think, pulling out, who would have had the crowd firmly behind him, and I think that obviously bodes well for him in this draw.
Yeah. Really sad, honestly, for Jack Draper. I feel crushed for this guy. He's such a great young player. It looks like he was going to be one of the young next crop to be consistently kind of top 5, maybe challenging for majors, all surface threat, someone who'd won at Indian Wells and looked like he was ready to really challenge the top guys. And he just has not been able to stay healthy. It's been this ongoing saga basically since Wimbledon last year. I mean, he couldn't get himself healthy for the US Open. Front end of the year, he wasn't healthy. It's been little spurts where we see him and then we don't. So it's unfortunate. And I kind of put Arthur Fees, who is still in this tournament, in that same camp. Another great young talent, super explosive player. If these two guys can just stay healthy, I really think they are a couple names who could be challenging for slams. At least Fees is still playing, as far as I know.
Right. And we're going to have some awesome third round matches, I think, in this section of the draw, in this bottom half of the draw. It's just going to be so many popcorn matches, and it's going to ruin my beach vacation because I'm going to want to stay in next week and just watch these things unfold. It's funny. You said something earlier that kind of struck me as relatable, which was watching some Wimbledon matches at your grandmother's place in Montreal. And
yeah.
I can't remember where I've watched any finals almost in the last 15 to 20 years, but I can remember like all of them back when I was a kid for whatever reason. I don't know why my childhood memory is so sharp from a tennis perspective. If anyone's listening and you know what I'm talking about or you can relate, please let me know so I don't think I'm the only crazy one. And again, maybe we'll end with who we think will go to the finals, but first talk about our favorite Wimbledon's men final of all time, because I'm clearly feeling a little nostalgic. You go first this time.
I'm going to make such an obvious pick, but the memories just really came flooding back after watching the Rafa documentary. I still think it's kind of the most iconic final we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. Just because the darkness setting in, they had a rain delay. Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, Rafa kind of ascending finally to the throne. Could he beat Roger, who had completely dominated at the All England Club the previous 5 years? Takes the first 2 sets, looks like he's going to cruise to victory. Roger has the answer. They play one of the most iconic tie breaks ever that you will see in a slam final. In the 4th set, Roger gets over the line there. You get the delay from rain. They come back out, and just the scenes when Rafa kind of gets over the line in that 5th set. Probably, I wasn't like a young boy watching that match. I was a teenager, but that was sort of a sporting moment that I'll always remember. So for 2008, I think it was one of the most iconic finals in tennis history. So it's an easy choice for me.
I mean, I've still got the Sports Illustrated summer issue where it's got that match, the two of them on the cover, and it says greatest match ever. And it's hard to argue against it. So that's a good one to go to. Is your Twitter handle, is your alter ego Adam Bradley? Because he picked Venus versus Davenport. He also picked Nadal Fed from 2008. So there
maybe
you go.
We're just going with the obvious choices.
Maybe. And this fellow Lucasino who picked the Swiatek and Isimova, he said Roger and Murray from 2012, which was Roger's
that's a good one. That's
5th
a good
Wimbledon. One. So there you go. For me, I go back a little bit further, and I can't say enough times, and I know I've said on the podcast plenty of times, I just can't say enough times how Becker, Edberg, how those 3 consecutive Wimbledon finals from 1988 to 1990 really impacted me and really drew me into the sport and just kept me coming back for more, especially at Wimbledon. My God, I love this tournament as a kid. and Edberg won 2 of them. My guy Becker won 1, but it kind of got to the point for me where I think I almost liked the 2 of them equally. Like I knew I'd be happy no matter who won because they both played such beautiful grass court tennis. They were both serve and volley. Edberg a little more elegant, Becker a little bit more fiery and fired up personality, bigger serve. Obviously, Edberg didn't have the big serve, but those 3 years were just gold for me. And honorable mention to Goran Ivanisevic in 1998 because coming in as a wild card and similar to Novotny, he had lost so many times in the finals or quarterfinals to Pistol Pete Sampras, who was just incredible on the grass, just like Steffi Graf was. And so for Goran to have his moment ranked outside the top 100 as a wild card later in his career, it just gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it. So, I think Federer and Nadal may be the best final we've ever seen in terms of the quality. But then when you look at some of the emotional, and that one had emotional content to it as well on the line, of course. But Ivanisevic really pulls at the heartstrings, I think.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful win, without a doubt. Let's get into a couple predictions, shall we?
Okay.
Alexander Zverev, by the way, the number 2.
Why you got to say his name? Why you got to say his name?
I'm sorry, I just had to mention.
Yeah, you want to? Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, he is there.
Still talking to my therapist about that to get through that one. To come to grips with a world where he's a Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, unfortunate for many in the tennis community.
Okay, who are you picking?
As great a chance as this is for Novak, I really think this is his best shot. I don't want to change my pick just based on the first round because I had selected Jannik Sinner to the finals before watching the first round, so it feels like cheap to change it just based on like, oh, he was in danger and it was a 5-setter. It feels like cheating. And
but if you had to. Are you thinking of changing it? Would you like to change? I'll let you change it.
No. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stick with it. I'll stick with my guns and my instinct. I watched him in a grass court kind of exhibition warm up where they're trying, and he looks so clinical against Cam Norrie. I think it was Hurlingham. So I still think Sinner is going to build momentum. I think the rest of his first week is easy, honestly, after this Kekmanovic spin, and he'll get that day off to kind of rest up the knee. I think he's going to be fine. Okay. And I just think Novak's section down there is way harder. I really think like he's going to have to grind and fight to get through some guys, particularly if he has to face João Fonseca. I just think the road is going to be a little tougher in that Sinner will beat him in a semifinal and be in this final, get a little bit of revenge for their semifinal in Australia.
Well, he's 39, maybe he can channel his inner Jimmy Connors, who was 39 when he went all the way to the semis. And
exactly.
Flushing Meadows.
And that's where it stopped in the semis. So that's where I have Novak going.
Okay. Who's Sinner? Who's Sinner going to face then?
Well, I was higher on the Americans, so I'm going to go with an American, Ben Shelton.
Oh, so we've got the same pick, you and me, on the men's side.
No way.
Yeah, those are my 2. Sinner's not really shocking, and I'm going to stick with him after the first round too. But I think Shelton is poised for bigger things. I like his draw. I like his confidence. I like his game on the grass, on the fast surface as well. That's my final. So there. And for those listening or watching, we don't ever talk about these things in advance.
No, we didn't.
It wouldn't be any fun if I knew what you were going to say. But this time, we got same.
Perfect. Okay, so pencil it in. Shelton versus Jannik Sinner in the men's final.
in just under 2 weeks. Breakfast at Wimbledon. Yeah.
That's right. I still would love to see a great run from Felix Auger-Aliassime. I really think he's got a shot. But hey, this tournament's already underway. 1 day through. I know we're going to touch base at the halfway point, and then we'll have a great week recap in a couple weeks. And just a reminder before we go, thanks to Everyside, we will be having kind of a little tennis party July 31st, 8 o'clock at Everyside. It's on Adelaide Street West. So we'll share those details on our social media channels and hit us up if you want to join us.
8 till late, and then we can all take our hangovers to the first day of the NBO on Saturday for qualifying.
Beautiful.
Just kidding. Drink responsibly, but your first drink's on us. So please get in touch if you'd like to go. Thanks to Everyside. Thanks to 10XTO for having me as well. And Ben, look forward to. I love Wimbledon. We should do like 10 Wimbledon episodes. I would just love it, but I don't know if I can sustain that at my age. We'll see what Djokovic can do at the age of 39, but we'll chat next weekend and see where things are at after 1 week.
Yeah, you guys have been listening to Watching Matchpoint Canada. We will talk to you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching us at Matchpoint Canada. If you like our work, follow along, hit the subscribe button below.